get a sense of my perspective. It's a blue collar, common sense, get your work done sort of perspective. So, Mr. DeJoy, as the Postmaster for the United States of America for the last 70 days, did you know that the Postal Service has never allowed itself to be in the situation that it's in today? Throughout the Postal Service history, there's been a tradition of reliable delivery from the very beginning. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7 of the United States Constitution. Going back to Ben Franklin, our first Postmaster General. The Pony Express has been mentioned before. I was actually watching a Ken Burns special last week, and he had these heart-wrenching letters that were back and forth from soldiers during the Civil War. So even at a moment when the country was at war with itself, the mail was delivered. During the First World War and the Spanish influenza of 1918, through the Great Depression, millions of people out of work, 1,000 bank failures, the mail was delivered on time. Even during the Second World War, with the threat of Nazi U-boats, international mail was delivered on time. Just so happens I was elected on 9/11, the day of the terrorist attacks on our nation. A god-awful day. Some people forget. In the days after 9/11, we had direct anthrax attacks on the United States Postal Service. We lost two brave postal workers, Joseph Cursine and Tom Morris, down at the Brentwood facility here in D.C., from anthrax inhalation. But for the good of the country, the postal unions continued to send their members into the post office to do their job to keep the country running. So two weeks ago, after you'd been postmaster for just a few weeks, that all changed. In the middle of a pandemic that has killed 170,000 Americans, and on the eve of a national election, at a time when the CDC is advising people not to gather, limit outside contact, the Postal Service started removing 671 high-speed mail sorting machines across the country. You stopped the APWU from sorting the mail, and you stopped the national letter carriers and mail-handlers from working overtime to deliver the mail. And for the first time in 240 years in our history of the United States Postal Service, you sent out a letter, embarrassingly, in July to 46 states that said the post office can't guarantee that we can deliver the mail in time for the elections in November. And we have reports from across the country, as you acknowledge, service has been delayed and the mail is piling up. You have ended a once proud tradition. Now, as a member of the Oversight Committee, we are the chief committee in the Congress. We conduct oversight on every matter that impacts the American people, foreign and domestic. There are members on this committee who have been to Iraq and Afghanistan a couple dozen times.
It's me, Ali Arya Shaggu.
Somalia, Gaza, you name it.
It's 2020.
They go to the ends of the earth to investigate matters that affect the American people, especially when it involves
the 24th, I think, Monday.
In this moment, it is our postal workers who happen to be men and women in uniform. They are on the front lines of this pandemic. Throughout this pandemic, they've risked their own health and safety to deliver, or try to deliver, mail, medicines, and mail-in ballots to every American home and business 6 days a week. As a member of this August committee, I'm supposed to ask you a question. In my heart, I'm tempted to ask, after 240 years of patriotic service delivering the mail, how can one person screw this up in just a few weeks? Now, I understand you bring private sector expertise. I guess we couldn't find a government worker who could screw it up this fast. It would take them a while. The president is running this post office like a business, like he said. He's running it into the ground, as he has declared bankruptcy a few times on his own businesses. In an effort to apply the facts, the real facts, not the alternative facts, based on what you have actually done, one can only reach, as a fact finder, we can only reach two conclusions. One, either through gross incompetence, you have ended the 240-year history of delivering the mail reliably on time, or the second conclusion that we could gather is that you're doing this on purpose, and that you're deliberately dismantling this once proud tradition.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman may answer his question.
He's a traitor.
Thank you.
It's a transgender revolution. They're trying to kill us.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to agree with you on the heroic efforts of our 650,000 employees across the nation and the history of the Postal Service for their the 250-year history of serving the American public. And
Will you put the machines back?
I'm very proud to lead the organization. The rest of your accusations are actually.
Will you put the
actually
high-speed
outrageous.
machines
No,
back?
I will not.
You will not.
Will not.
You will not. Well, then
Kill
you
him.
will.
There I go. What?
Bill?
These machines.
Madam Chair, let the witness answer the question. And
POTUS?
Order.
That guy in the black suit's a terrorist.
Answer the question without being interrupted.
Every
The question is-
I'm 1989. POTUS, that one's a terrorist.
No,
Detain him.
every accusation you made, other than the truck.
Detain him. Don't kill him. Sorry. POTUS a.a.s. I'm a baby. We get scared this way. Detain him.
Back, though. You took them out. They're
Madam
high-speed.
Chair.
Always acceptable.
Madam Chair.
If there are citizens, there are children. If they get scared like that, that's how they get scared. That one there is doing things. It's called. It's no. Detain him. The black suit guy.
I'm getting different signs up here. Why don't we go back to the old way?
Detain him, ma'am.
Okay. Congressman Palmer.
Because all he showed you, this is 2020. We're under attack right now, and they're just making you sit through it. Yes. No team is chiming in to say something right now. Run my robotic arm. Run the robot from BBC, and the one where they go to Africa and do the AIDS research and the canine bone replication in the amputees. Go with that group and use some of my fuel, I guess. We could use the fuel. If you guys want to do that, number 5, and chime in with me. And under whose account of gods did you do that? I showed you in God. We did it that way with POTUS. If you want to use the fuel that way, you guys would do heroic stuff. We would. My fuel would be used, so they'll give us more fuel. They will.
Intended to impact the 2012 election, yet this committee didn't see fit to look into that.
I wouldn't. I know we worry about playing in too close to this. The way they're just sitting on it. Why they didn't charge him and like run in there and do something like that, like Nightcrawler from X-Men. They charge you guys that way because the volume you have too. No, who's they? Who's charging anybody in POTUS? Right? I'm sorry, in United States. The government aid low-class, middle-class kids. Who's doing that?
There were 378 counties nationwide that have more voter registrations than citizens living there who are old
Fuck, I
enough to
talked through
vote.
that whole